committee meeting to order. Yeah, can you turn the volume? Can you? Okay, great, terrific. All right, so we are here today to, oh, I think I saw Lori outside. Hold on. Brian, can you come join us?
No.
You're one of the members of this committee.
You have to wear a target when
That's
you
okay.
come there?
It just makes it easier for for people to hear you through the microphone and also see you.
Hello. Fast and furious.
At
Yes.
this point, we ought to give courtesy.
Courtesy?
We ought to give courtesy.
Oh, Kurt, yeah, Kurt, why don't you take a seat too?
I know.
Absolutely, Kurt, come on up here. Come join us. Yeah, actually, if you'll take the last one, spot over there, so you'll be right next to there and people will be able to see you and,
I love to speak.
I know, and be seen. All right, let's do a quick roll call. This is the Park Design Group meeting. Kevin, you wanna start?
Kevin Shaw.
Bobby Hempton, RCDC.
Melissa Morrow, Parks Commission.
Kevin Glasheen, council.
Laurie Mills Parks.
Brian Ryder, RCDC.
And I'm Kurt Arnett, landscape architect.
Great. All right. So today, I'll give you kind of a synopsis of where we are and where we hope to be at the end of this meeting. So we have been working on designing a off-leash area that would be near the new parking lot area that the Parks Commission has been working on. Kurt Arnett with Sitio Designs has given us a really great design for the parking lot and for some surrounding beautification that would match some of the other beautification that we've most recently done over in behind the field house and near around the playground area. That would also, the parking lot would include a new entrance area, and as we were working on that, it came to our attention and to the community's attention that this might be a great opportunity for us to explore having a separate off-leash area. Our master plan had made a suggestion of creating an off-leash area almost somewhere around 2018-19, and so the Parks Commission and RCDC and the council all said that yes, let's see what we can do together to create the best possible option for that. Kurt has been working on those designs, and our hope is with this design group is to see if we can get some consensus on the things that we like and move forward with a recommendation formally from the Parks Commission on next Tuesday, and then council have a good discussion about it on Wednesday, and in my dream of dreams, there would be a recommendation from Parks that was one recommendation, and then the council would basically vote it up or down. And it's okay if they vote it down, as long as they give us feedback on what changes might be needed in order to make it acceptable, or that the council at this time is not ready to have an off-leash area. But I feel like RCDC, Parks, and these council members have done a really good job, and where I'd like to start today is Kurt is gonna kind of walk us through from the time that we hired him and kind of share what we had articulated to them were the most important aspects of that design for an off-leash area, and kind of so that everyone can see how we got to where we are today. So, Kurt.
Okay, great. Well, about 7 to 8 months ago, I started on this and was asked to work on the parking lot area, which included the area north of the ball fields. And so I came up with this first design. Can you show slide 1, please? Oh, that's 2. There we go. Thanks. This is what I came up with. Pretty much using the same paved areas as there are now. It's just road base, and kind of organizing the parking lot. This first scheme, I was envisioning asphalt that could be striped, and you can see that we're also showing the area north of the fields. We're looking at grass pave at that point. But we were allowing access to that area. We did have a gate that could limit the access to that area. You'll also notice that we have boulders shown and plantings with this plan. Okay, can you go next? And that plan had 68 spaces, but it didn't include accessible spaces. This was just a early concept of what it might look like as you're entering off of Rollingwood Drive. And you can see, I think this is going to end up being a really important area as far as the beautification aspect of it. But you can see we're using boulders and native plantings. Okay. This was a variation of the first plan. We started thinking, what if we don't allow parking on the north end and just make that a park area? In order to do that, we had to change the parking a little bit. We lost a few spaces, but this design shows 2 accessible spaces and a total of 60 spaces. So you can see we were trying to limit where the parking is and create more of a park setting there at the north. This plan keeps the existing trail and just actually adds to it a little bit. And then and at that point, I think we started thinking, well, what could happen if we maybe combine the dog park in this area, because we have this extra space. And so Alex did some really nice drawings, and that was kind of showing conceptually what that might look like and how it could work with the existing fields, and keeping that outer trail. And then she did some renderings of that also. So this is kind of what is getting these ideas together. So then I was asked, well, can you show a dog park? And they wanted me to show 2 different versions, one with a 0.4 acre, and I'm calling it a dog park. I know it's probably off leash, but it's hard for me to say that, so I just said dog park.
Be politically correct.
A 0.4 acre and a 0.6 acre. Now the 0.6 acre was the people that really contributed on the dog end of it said that was kind of a minimum that they felt like would be acceptable for a dog park. So that's where the problem started to, well, not the problems, but the difficulties, because we'd only have so much land. And so we started looking at just square footages. And without changing the fields, we said, okay, this upper area where there used to be parking was about 7,000 square feet. And this lower area, the master plan had indicated that we might be able to use this lower area part of the property. And that's, we had about 18,000 square foot there. And so I put a little table here saying what 1 acre is, what 0.4, 0.6, what we were shooting for. So we went to that, and then we started, so up to this point we hadn't disturbed the ball fields or the fencing at all. started saying, well, what if we kind of make this more of an organic shape and meld these two different uses together? So that was what this was indicating. Then we started getting into these. Oh. These type of drawings, and so you can really see how big a 0.4 is and a 0.5, 0.6.
Kurt, can I just interject?
Yeah.
We dropped off that lower level
Yeah.
in that process. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we're not quite there yet.
Okay,
Because
never mind.
in this
Yep.
round, we were still including that.
Okay.
So this shows keeping everything up top, leaving the trail pretty much like it is. We did a little adjustment here, but on this scheme, we were actually starting to move the fields over. And you can see this is what it took to get 0.4. And then this is what the 0.6 looked like. This version, we were actually really moving the trail out, almost to the edge there. And we're starting to show some trees in between the dog park and the baseball field. So you can see it's encroaching a little bit more into the fields. I don't have magic. I don't know. And then we said, okay, we have 0.4, 0.6. Let's see what 0.5 looks like. So this was just showing kind of a in between. Again, we're keeping the trail kind of the same. We're adjusting it a little bit, but you can see where that ended up. And then we had the idea of, well, what if we use some of that lower area that was called for in the master plan? And I mean, on paper, it looked great. It looked great. Like, this is all this land over here. And I didn't spend enough time on site, I think. And it showed just areas, and we thought about a divided park where we could have small dogs and large dogs. And then I went out and walked the site and actually saw where this pin is. It appears that we have a lot more land than we really do. And I also thought, oh, you have a drop here, you can get down, but then it's flat land. Well, you get down and it's still sloped a lot. And it started, and plus the neighbors that live over here were getting concerned that we were getting the park too close to their property. So it became, we just didn't think it was a viable option, but we explored it. And we got a little crazy here. I look back at some of these options and I thought, it doesn't look that great, but sometimes you have to go through some bad iterations to get to where you want to be. But what this one did is it said, well, let's try, why didn't we think of this? Let's try an inner trail. So people, if they need to get to the concession stand, they just go straight through here. Thought it was a pretty good idea. And then we got some feedback on that. We went to the next iteration. This is 0.5 acre. Let's see if I just want to move that up. Okay. What we did here was, again, we're moving the baseball fence over. We thought, well, let's have an outer trail and an inner trail. And this one's showing some seating, some trees. So that was another idea. We looked at that. And then we took it even further and looked at pushing the dog park all the way to the edge of the slope. Getting it way back and just having this inner trail. And we found out how important the trail is to everybody. So, so, we realized a few things after all of this. The trail is very important to kind of stay outside. We didn't really feel like there was a need for an inside trail. If people used it enough to wear it down, maybe in the future we make it a trail. We took the trees out here because we felt like if we plant them now, it might limit what we can do in the future. So we concentrated the trees kind of at the entrance. We're showing, before we were only showing one entrance into the dog park, and now we're showing two. So another thing you'll notice from this plan, some of the feedback was the trail in relation to the fence of the dog park. And if there's any kind of separation we can have there. So we're showing some separation there, as well as just kind of extending the butterfly garden. We kind of transplanted it and put it all along here, along with some berming that will get additional height, as well as can kind of filter the runoff. This was 0.5. We're still trying to get to that 0.6. And then we said, well, what about 0.55? So we were trying to get all the square footage we could. Another thing we did in these versions was move this one batting cage. We gained some land there. And this is showing the 0.6. But we felt like some of these baselines was getting a little bit short. And we wanted to see how we could change that. So we came up with a final. This is this is where we are now. And I think this is a really good version. We did some kind of subtle changes. We squared this up in the parking lot, made these curves a little nicer, which allowed the baselines to be, they were extended. And then another idea on this that I hadn't explored that much, but I think is a good idea, is to make this a removable fence. It can be, so this whole area can be opened up when baseball's not being played. And we were showing that about 10 foot in from the existing fence, this red line. And so you can see it really opened up those baselines. So I feel like that's where we are now. And as far as the plan, the layout, if we go with this, I think what we need to do now is work on some of the details. And I've already started to look at some of the details, like the entry into the dog park. I've been by some dog parks and they have these double gated entry. They wanted to, they've used concrete there because it gets a lot of wear in and out. And this is showing just how you can have plantings along the fence to give that separation. You can also have more of a solid fence in some areas and more open in areas. So we're just starting to get into more design at this point. I think that's kind of where we are now. This is just a section that shows the relation between the trail and fencing. This one's showing a solid fence. And then this one is showing where we can berm it up, use boulders, create elevation for the planting. And this could be more of a, an open fence, but you have that separation with the trail. And then this is showing where it drops down below. I think this berming could be real important as far as filtering runoff, controlling runoff where it gets released. So I think that's going to be important. This was a sketch I did a long time ago, just kind of showing more of a rustic fence. trees at the entrance, kind of an entry into the dog park. And that's one option of what it might look like. And then I went to this dog park in Round Rock, and man, it's frustrating. Showing how they have the gated entrances. This is a service entrance. They have concrete there. Um, this one shows just the relationship of the backstop with the fencing. It's used as this fencing is the same for the dog park as for the baseball field. And then this is showing more of a solid fence. And other ideas, these are a little more architectural, a little more refined, that we could use. And here's where we are on the parking lot. So these are the construction drawings for the parking lot, and I feel like it's pretty close to being finished. Just like the fencing materials, we haven't settled on what the paving would be, but I feel like the layout is gonna be the same, whatever paving we end up going with. This plan is showing a raised curb and gutter. And I think what we might, I've listened to a lot of different ideas, and I'm really thinking that we go with just a flush curb for the majority of it with wheel stops. I think that'll look better. I just drove through the Wildflower Center parking lot on my way over here, and that's what they have. They don't even have a flush curb. They have the planting going right up to the asphalt, but I think it's important to keep that edge intact. If we did any kind of raised curb, I think it would be over on this side where we can control the runoff. And then the last slide is, this is the planting plan. So I've already come up with the planting design that needs to be kind of vetted and gone through, but it's there. So I think we're getting close on this.
Can I ask a question about, you said, I think this is where we've landed for the dog park. That I have the drawings from April 9th in front of me. The one that you showed today is different than these.
Yes.
Correct? So when was that distributed or talked about?
We talked about that last Friday. Let's see if I can find it. This will be it.
I had not seen that one.
This one is a lot like,
Point
a
six.
lot like, I don't know which one that is.
0.6.
The 0.6. You can see it's just slightly, I think that ends up being about 3,000 square feet, that 0.1 acre. But, the main difference is this, showing this fence here, the removable fence, and then just kind of the fence line here. And otherwise, we changed this a little bit here. I showed the 2 gate entrances, just drove in there, so.
And this is what came out of the last design meeting? Parks design meeting?
We had a non-meeting meeting last Friday. We were supposed to have a meeting, but not everyone
It wasn't really a meeting.
It was more like a gathering of Kurt,
Yeah.
Kevin and me.
I have a question. If you could explain where the baseline fences would be on the ball field, so where would the access be to that middle ball field section, like how people could walk into it?
This area?
Yeah, that area, how, cause it's not closed, it's not totally closed off.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So there was a fence right here
Mhm.
that was taken out. So access through here. We kept this a little more open here and here.
So we wouldn't replace right now, there's fencing that goes all the way around the ball fields. So it would utilize the backstops, so to speak, and with some extension going in each direction.
This plan also shows kind of where bleachers could be placed
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, one of the things we need to figure out is how much baseline fencing the kids actually need, and then remove as much of it as we can. That's TBD, but the point I think he's trying to get to here is, how can we still make it playable and not have all the fences in there?
The planning for bleachers is something you really need to do because there are lots of parents
Correct.
and even a few grandparents
Yes, for sure.
come and watch, and then there are, I guess this is where the playscapes come in. There's also lots of little older and younger siblings that come to the ball games, and so the place is full of kids running around and need a place to run around other than on the ballpark while the games are going on. But I guess that's the.
Yeah, the playground's
Yeah.
still there,
Playground.
yeah, and that's untouched, we just finished making it pretty.
Yeah.
And it is pretty, and it is very pretty.
So in this, Kurt, you do have some bleachers, I believe there's those black rectangles that are behind.
These are actually drawn to scale. That's just what
Mhm.
is there, and I just took those and put them down here.
Mhm.
But you would need bleachers for both, I think, for both fields if, to work.
He,
There are.
he
What-
has
what
both
is-
of them, yeah.
Those are
What
all.
is the likelihood, or what is the practicalities of moving the batting cage? I mean, there's a concrete base on that. I don't think there's anything under it in the way of utilities or whatever, but can you wrap a chain around and move such a thing?
Oh, I think it's gonna take some.
You would probably tear it out. I know,
Tear out and re-pour?
yes, or not have it be concrete. Right now in city of Austin, we have batting cages that are basically have, either cement or I don't know what you,
DG.
concrete, and then it's DG in the middle so that they drain really well. One of our problems right now is the existing batting cages do not drain very well. And they leave these big areas where we already have some erosion problems. So, yeah, we would just take out that concrete and probably put in a batting cage with either DG, or we could do the concrete again, but I don't see the need to do that.
Yeah, and when we do that, I'm just watching how they use it, moving it away from the fence so that they could bat up against it on both sides would actually add a lot of value
Yeah,
for them when they're doing it.
yeah.
So that could be a win.
So details to be determined later on the
Yep.
batting cage. And one of the issues with trying to get a plan through council is, if we get every detail resolved, it's never gonna get passed through, because everyone wants to debate and every detail of it. And instead, I think if we get like a concept that gets recommended to council that we can vote on and get through, some of the things like the batting cage details can be resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the seating. That was one of my big things with the previous big plans, is we just didn't have room for spectators. And that's really important for
Very
how it's used today, so.
And I'm speaking just my opinion, but anything that we do that takes down baseball's capital improvements is basically on us, the city, to replace. So I'm not asking
Right.
Little League to, if they need to move the backstops or redo the batting cage. I believe, both Parks Commission and doing some fundraising there, and but we wouldn't expect them to make those capital improvements. Of course, we will want to go to their families and ask for the money also, and just say, hey, we're trying to improve this. We're going to give you a much safer, better parking lot, more green space next door, and hopefully with the removable fence, make a larger space, green space in the middle, because we won't need it to be closed in for dogs, or having an off-leash area, because we'll have a separate off-leash area.
To what degree is Little League and softball involved in any of this discussion, Melissa?
We have been talking to them throughout the process and updating them on every different version, and,
Softball comes to all of our meetings.
yeah.
Little League
And-
has chosen to kind of take a
And they've,
watch and see approach. They don't
Subordinate.
wanna.
and they've been good, you know, but I also agree with Melissa, we don't wanna do anything that like hurts them or costs them money, and to the extent that everyone has to kind of give a little bit and compromise here to get to a solution, we want to accommodate them as much as we can, and certainly financially, we have plenty of money with RCDC and the city budget to do this stuff. We don't need to be like, you know, asking them to make compromises and sacrifices on terms of space and then asking them for money too. I just don't think we should do that.
I'll second that. The conversations I'd had with them, the attitudes changed when I said, one, we're not just talking, we have money to spend, and two, we're not asking you for money. Now, I do agree when this is all done, if there are future improvements they wanna do, pass the hat and do it that way, but I don't expect them to pay for anything as we're moving things around and making it better for the city in general.
And as far as this whole thing goes, I'm very concerned about getting it through council next week. I really want to. I want to get something through. I'd really like to see parks, and I kind of changed my mind on this. And Melissa early on said, you know, we should pick a plan in parks and send it on. And I was like a little nervous about that, and thought maybe council would want to have more options. But I really think it's better that you guys go ahead and recommend one. I can tell you that I think I can get this plan through. The problem I know I have with it is one council member is gonna at least strongly insist that we put that dividing fence being removable. And I had initially kind of thought of that myself and talked to Sean on Parks about it, and it sounded like a good idea at first, but the more I've thought about it, the less I like it for a lot of reasons. One, I don't think it's good to have a portable fence with baseball because it's not gonna be as durable, but also my problem with it is that those baseball fields, especially the way they're being opened up and not all fenced off, are not just for baseball. The whole idea behind this was also to create a community space for families to come up and kids fly kites or whatever else. And I don't think as a parent, if I want my kid up there trying to fly a kite in an area that's also got off-leash dogs. And also, I just don't like the whole enclose everything with fencing feel and look. It feels like a prison detention camp more than a park, you know, everything's fenced off. So anyway, that's my view. So I would like to see Parks make a recommendation on that question too, because it'll be easier for us to get it through council if Parks takes a position.
Are you talking about the fencing in between the dog park and
Yep.
the baseball field
Yep,
being
the thick,
removable?
yep, the
Yeah.
thick divided line.
Absolutely not.
I know how you
Yeah.
feel about it.
Yeah.
Look, I
That is insane.
happen to agree with you, but I've got to deal with getting 3 votes on council.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you
just,
talking about, I'm
then
unclear
what's
as
the,
Lori is,
why
are
are
you
we
talking?
even doing this?
Look, all I'm asking you to do is for Parks to take a position against that suggestion so that we
Oh, I
can
can
have
do
some
that.
support.
yeah.
That's all I'm asking you to do.
And Lori, just to make certain people don't think people were crazy when they made that suggestion. The reason they made that suggestion was in an effort, if we can't decide how big the off-leash area was, we wanted to be able to move forward with the parking lot, because the parking lot isn't really impacted by that.
Right.
And so if we were gonna phase this, and that was a smart way to do it, of deciding, then we could have that be temporary. But I personally think, I love our council members, and I really do admire their will and their ability to take heat. But part of this is, I would like for Parks as much as possible to send one plan so that council can make a stand. They have to say, do
I get
we
it.
wanna have an off-leash area or we don't? Because Parks has spent 9 months, and poor Kurt, 15, you know,
I think this makes 16.
yeah, that either we're all in on having a separate off-leash area, or we're not there yet. And so we don't need to come up with any more designs of it. We've given you the best possible design, thinking through 16 different versions of trying to make it the best for as many groups as possible.
And at every meeting, we spend 20 to 30 minutes rehashing the whole process.
That's right.
But we
And
gotta keep
partly
everyone up to
because-
speed.
And partly because, for those of you who get on social media, we have been said that we're not being transparent, that decisions are being made behind closed doors. And what I wanna say, if nothing else, people watch this meeting today, is every single part of this deliberation has been done in public, that we have shared all these, and that I know it's hard to follow all of them. Trust me, all these people who are actually giving of their time, it's hard for them to give up their time. And so, you know, we all have different responsibilities, and I think we've done a really great job of getting to a really good possibility of having a separate off-leash area that's good for kids, good for parents, good for people who are dog owners, and if council wants to say something different, then it's time for them to speak up. Before, I do want to open it up a little more for conversation. I would like to leave at least the last 15 minutes of our discussion, or at least the opportunity to discuss in your packets. You probably also saw from our engineer information about the materials used for the parking lot. And so, just so you know, at 45, I'm gonna switch over to that, unless,
Oh.
yeah, so go ahead, Kevin.
Just, who has a hard stop at 1 o'clock today?
Well, I guess I don't anymore. My schedule's changed so
Wait,
much.
this is a working group, we can keep it going past 9, people gotta leave, they gotta leave.
Okay, so
So,
we'll say
but
1:15-ish.
we haven't, I agree with Lori, we spend a lot of time talking about just rehashing and rehashing. I thought what Kurt did today was awesome to get us caught up, love
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
Hope you do, I mean, that was just awesome. So I hope Park gets maybe a shorter version of that, but that detail in council as well. But we also today, we have Robert on the phone to talk about parking lot and details about that again, and Kevin wants to do that. So we need to talk about what we just talked about, we need to open up for the comments, but we also need to make
Yep.
progress on that today, and I
Yep.
don't want the clock to get in the way of that.
Great.
To what degree do we need to have any definition of the drainage issues that this might cause, in
That's-
order for council to make a decision? Kevin, is what I'm concerned about, or is a concern about. And then from RCDC's standpoint of it, you know, it's our pocketbook that you're looking at for a lot of this. I'd sure like to have some guesstimate of
Sure.
where we're going on that.
Do you mind
And
if I
that's
address
probably outside of today's meeting.
I can give you a real quick answer. So on drainage, council gets hung up on drainage all the time, and, you know, I guess everybody thinks they're a drainage expert, and tries to solve drainage problems before they understand them or before they've even been identified as existing, and I'm trying to avoid that. I don't think council or RCDC or even us needs to get that involved in drainage. That's an engineering issue, and it's something that when we get our final plans and we get our project manager on the job, he can run it by our engineers and say, is this drainage adequate for, you know, even your berm, which might be better as a swale, I'll just say as a drainage expert. But anyway, you let the engineers do that, and let's not us try to design and manage drainage issues, is my suggestion.
30 seconds. In the packet is the memorandum from our engineers, and this is what I wanted from the beginning. They just said that the existing parking lots in the north and to the east are impervious cover. They are effectively parking lots today from every perspective on drainage. So everything we talked about improves drainage significantly. So I'm agreeing with what Kevin is saying, but now we actually have the proof from our engineers saying exactly the same thing. So I don't want this commission, even council, I'm going to argue, let's stop talking about that.
And-
We now know the facts.
Yeah.
Let's start getting to the
And on-
details, and we'll figure out the details of the
And
design
on
phase.
cost, real quick, on cost, I think the next step is if we all agree on sort of the general concept of the design, then our project manager will go out and give us cost estimates or help us get bids, and that'll come back to RCDC and council for approval at that time, Brian.
One thing I can say is I did calculations, and we're 12.5% less paving than we were before,
That's great.
Is
and
that-
that's 3,000 square feet.
That's with removing the back lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Did that answer your questions, Brian?
It gave me some direction about the order of process you want to do. I don't think it answered questions really, but that's fine.
Come later.
The farther we get down the road, more we'll answer questions.
Well, to me,
I had not focused on the fact that we're actually removing impervious cover by doing this.
we're adding a little by the baseball field, because if you look now, there's a grass area with some rocks, and we're pushing it a little further that way, but we're taking out a lot on
the
that
back,
north.
On the north side.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it just rounds off to me.
On the north side? Oh, that's delightful.
Actually, the asphalt there's old millings from the roads,
Yeah.
from
What that
PK's
is,
Road.
for,
But-
for those of us who, I've been here 45 years, what that is the aggregation of a lot of leftover asphalt from various paving jobs on streets and other things around here where the city just said, oh, you got some
Dumping
stuff,
ground.
just dump it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they kind of rolled it out, and that's what that is. That's what,
Yeah.
So I'll summarize this just and hopefully we can move on. I don't believe there's any expectation of anything that we do is gonna add any significant cost for new drainage features. And that was the thing I wanted to check from a financial perspective. So, and that memorandum puts that in writing, so.
That's great.
So, did everyone have a chance to read the memorandum?
Obviously.
Okay, so it's a really important thing, so it was part of your packet for today's meeting, and it's gonna be really important when we have our parks meeting next week. But basically, it goes through, and that's why we're at 45, so the next part I wanna talk about is the surface areas for the parking lot. One of the things, and then Kurt, I'll probably let you talk about it, one of the things that, when I talked to Kurt last week, which was, for me, a complete 180, is that we have been talking all this time about using the honeycomb gridlock, or what do you call it, sorry? True Grid, because it would reduce heat, it would not have any sort of, issues with, runoff, that it would, could be more natural by using rocks in it instead of having asphalt and cement. And, I think that, and again, I'm speaking for Kurt, so I'll let him speak in a minute. One of the things that came up in our discussions last week was that, hey, a parking lot is a parking lot. You can dress it up just like a pig you can put lipstick on, but it's still a parking lot. And maybe we should spend more of our money and our efforts on beautification on the areas both in the plantings and boulders and things like that around the parking lot. And so he was trying to, at least for me, get me to soften my position on, and all of us a little bit, on being tied to the grid system. The grid system is less well-known, less used in other places. It is something that, I know at Q2 they have it with the grass and it looks amazing, but they also have, a much larger budget and crew and staff, et cetera, to maintain something like that. And so for me, part of reading the packet this week was getting familiar with the pros and cons, both in terms of drainage, but also in terms of maintenance and lifetime of, either the grid system, asphalt or concrete. And so if you'll look in those packets, you'll see that, the grid system had a 25-year lifespan, but has probably, I'm not gonna say a great deal, but some maintenance that goes along with it, both in terms of making sure that you maintain gravel and rocks inside of it, and also that, I'm guessing, weeds and other things will come through there that our staff will have to kind of keep up with as well. And then the asphalt, has, I think it was more like a 20 to 25 year, so it was maybe slightly less than the grid system, but had less maintenance. It also can have ponding, pooling, it can have dips in it over time. The most expensive was, I think the concrete was around $25 to $30 a square foot, but it had the longest life and the least maintenance, and less ponding, pooling, etc. And so my synopsis or my impression coming from reading the engineering was that we don't really need to worry about the drainage. If drainage was a problem, that the grid system could reduce it by 50% considered pervious. It still wouldn't be considered 100% pervious, which again, from what Kevin said, is not really going to be an issue because we're reducing impervious cover by 12%. that the concrete, if we were felt comfortable that it would be staying there for the next 30 years, is probably the least maintenance, the nicest looking, and sort of the best thing, but it is slightly more expensive on the front end. So, okay, so that's sort of, if you haven't had a chance to look at that, I do encourage you to look at it. But Brian, I know that's, you know, when you talked about what are the costs and what are the drainage and what are that report goes a long way into helping us understand
Can I
this.
add something about the
Yeah.
grid? So one of the issues with the grid is you gotta decide what are you gonna fill it with? And are you gonna fill it with gravel? Are you gonna put grass in it? Or are you gonna put like some kind of rock maybe, but with DG on the top? Because when you have just gravel, that's really hard to walk on, and gravel moves around a little bit. If you put DG on the top, which is, you know, decomposed granite like on the trails, then it becomes impervious, and you've defeated the purpose of putting in a grid. And if you put in grass, I like grass. I would actually support doing it in grass if we could do it. And it has a lot of benefits, but it's a lot of maintenance to maintain grass. And whatever you do, there's gonna be a lot of weed control. So you're gonna be, and they don't want us to spray Roundup here. It's actually an ordinance has banned us using Roundup in the park. And without using Roundup, it's pretty hard to maintain.
Yeah, the reason for one of the reasons for my concerns and my view on this thing is I'm trying to take a longer view. It's not just the capital cost of putting it in. We can, as an RCDC, if we contribute in building things, pay over the years for the maintenance of it. So it could be a long-term item in our budget. We haven't thought about those kind of things yet, but I'm trying to look forward and very concerned about what you were talking about, Kevin, is how big a line item are we buying
Yeah.
for ourselves for the next 20 or 25 years?
And it's a little experimental to us.
Well, also when we talked about this a couple weeks ago when Robert was here. He gave some other issues with tire pressure and turning radius and all that kind of stuff on that material, which caused questions. I'm not saying no to it. I'm just trying to throw the facts out there. I thought that was interesting. Kevin, you had some more questions for him maybe. The other thing that I've been researching on that particular product is it does, and this was mentioned in the engineering thing, it does actually have sediment buildup. So over time, it loses its permeability. And what I don't know is there's a maintenance cost to solve that problem with that doesn't exist for other ones. So it's just more to the puzzle, throwing it out there. So again, just people should read that document and take a look at it, because it does give us a lot of detail on some of these little things that will add to maintenance costs over time.
And if Parks can make a recommendation on that by this meeting, great, but if they can't and just need to say, we're gonna move forward and we'll answer that question later, that's okay.
I didn't see the letter in our meeting packet for that.
It was in what I ran out, but I
Look in
didn't
the
bring that.
agenda
There's
PDF.
4 versions of the park plan, and then there's,
It was immediately
There should be
behind
12 or, like-
the agenda.
One of those 4 is towards the bottom past the drawings.
If you just want to click the link, you can also go to the park commission meeting and do the HTML packet. Click it there. Under the park.
I've done both. I don't know what I'm missing.
So here, go to this meeting.
So there's.
Oh, I don't do it that way. Go back to just go to the Rollingwood. Yeah.
I did all of these.
Well, I'll show you how I got to it. No, go to, agendas.
While we're doing that, I want to thank staff for getting that
Yeah, I know.
memorandum done
Okay, go to
quickly and getting it to us with Lochner. So appreciate y'all helping,
that
adding value. Now, if we could only find a way to get it to everyone, that would be great.
How did I get it then?
I don't know, it shouldn't be this hard to find.
I agree with
Cause
that.
that's exactly where I clicked it.
Well, I clicked
Yeah, no,
every
I
button,
believe
there
you,
it
I
is.
believe
It
you.
was there when I ran the stuff out several days ago.
Yeah.
There are 2-page reports from the engineering.
Go ahead and just do the park commission HTML.
Well, we're in the design.
So if you go to the Park Commission
Okay. Oh,
Park
it's in the
Commission
design.
meeting,
Okay.
Yeah, and you
But
go
I-
to the
it's in
HTML
the
links,
design
and it's
one,
under
and it
the,
opened. I don't know why
it's in the
not
driveway
open.
under number 7.
It was under park, not design.
No, it is in the design meeting, cause I opened it this morning under
It's
design
not.
meeting.
It's not.
It's
I
not.
just went through every single link that.
I don't know how you did it, but it's not. It's in, if you go to the Parks meeting,
Yeah.
item number 7, the 4th link, it says Rollingwood
wasn't
Park
there
Pavement
in
Commission
my,
memo.
Mind. So
Yeah,
I
when we
think it's
received
parks.
it, I'm not able to add it into the HTML link, cause I gotta
Oh,
repost
so
it.
it's in the, so is it in that other one?
It's in the park and council.
Okay.
It might be in the PDF. This is
Yeah.
Yeah, it, oh, it
Yeah,
must have been.
that's
in
where
the
it is.
This is a
PDF.
technical problem we're
Likely-
working through.
That's
Let's,
likely what I ran out.
it's,
was the
we're working
PDF.
through it.
Being an
Okay.
old-fashioned person, I like to read PDFs and print things.
But you did read it.
But I
so.
don't bring it.
I
You
did
did
read
find
it.
it.
So I did find it. I,
So it is there.
You got it, Lori?
It is there.
Yes, thank you.
Cause I need to go see it too.
It's there.
hello. All right. So,
Did you want to talk to Robert? No, I have-
oh yeah, Robert. Are you there? And maybe Rob, do you have any guidance, ideas, thoughts? I cannot hear you. Do we have to turn up the volume to be able to hear? No?
Or has he muted himself?
He doesn't look muted.
Is he there? Is the camera on? He's walked away.
Rob, we can't hear you. I'm not sure why. We're trying to figure it out. Oh, now we can hear you. Yes.
So I thought Lochner did a great job of summarizing all the options. Essentially, what it came down to on true grid product versus concrete versus asphalt is, are you increasing your impervious cover that's already true? And because this concept is not, there's not a lot to worry about for your engineer on the drainage side. You know, there's, personally, I have not seen enough of the application of the true grid product to speak intelligently on what its overall lifespan is gonna be. Okay, but I have seen enough of it to know that, as I told Kevin, your heavy traffic areas with a lot of turning radius are gonna have some maintenance issues. And what that product calls for is a black star gravel, similar to what you see in landscaping gravel, to fill in the matrix, the plastic matrix. So it doesn't call for DP, it doesn't call for anything other than black star gravel, at least that's what was quoted. And so your public works guys will be breaking gravel and dealing with weeds. It's supposed to have a 25-year life. From my experience on the parking lot, do the subgrade and base right, the paving is gonna have a similar life. And you guys have the cost estimates, I know Kurt does. Lochner provided some that I think that they're gonna adjust after discussing it. The asphalt is gonna be the cheapest of the options. The concrete is similar to the true grid. Ultimately, you know, whatever you guys decide you want, the aesthetics of that look, you know, I'll be behind making sure that it's installed correctly.
Okay.
I have a question. Does anyone know if we can use the existing base that's there?
The existing what?
Road base.
Oh, thanks.
Why not? It's ours. I guess it's just a question of,
If it's
can you scrape it up
consistent,
and re-mill it and then use it?
yeah, is there enough consistency in the thickness and compaction?
No one knows. No one knows. It's just over the years been whatever's been dumped out there. It's
Would
yeah.
you core test it?
But if it's found that, you know, there's a stable base material there and it's consistent with its depth that are gonna provide the product and the life that you want on an asphalt top. Because that's what really dictates when you're paving, how good and how long that's gonna last.
Would you core test it?
The
are there ways to test for that? Do you just do core samples in different areas?
Yeah, when you hire contractors, they get out there and start working, you can pothole it in various areas. And I would tend to, in my experience, look at some of the poorer areas and see what it's like. And if it's viable to reuse, remix, you can certainly shave off during construction and get a deducted change order in your job. It's worth looking into, I'm sure.
Well, I do think that influences how we feel about the impact it'll have on the trees. If we're having to get it out, would be a different,
That's what I wrote right underneath my road-based question was arborist.
yeah.
You're worried about the you're worried about the excavation damaging the tree roots from the basement?
We met with an arborist a year ago
Yeah.
about those trees.
I got it. I didn't hear it properly. Thank you.
Did you do some excavation? Did somebody do some digging?
Any other questions? Rob, I know that was, we really so appreciate you being here for all that time just to listen to the presentation, so you're on board with everything that we've gone through and sort of where we are. And I know your experience, et cetera, will really help the council understand better and feel confident about what we do, whatever choice we make going forward. So thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, and I'll just add one quick thing to Rob, just a shout out. Like, we had a big storm last week, and all the work that Rob oversaw performed really well.
Yay.
So if you need any sort of looking at that guy's attributes, we saw it in real time. So thanks, Rob.
Awesome. All right, so how do you guys feel about, do you feel like this group wants to make any recommendation or say how they feel? I mean, just what do y'all want to share back, I guess, basically to the Parks Commission? Anything? I'm mostly talking about Lori's gonna be at the Parks Commission meeting, so she can speak for herself there, but
I can tell you what I'd like to see us recommend to Parks Commission, and you guys can vote on it or get consensus, but I'd like to see us recommend that .59 plan with the removable fence, just as it's drawn, and then
qualify where that removable fence is, the one
Be-
between
between,
softball.
you're right, thank you, between softball and baseball.
On field
But
two.
with a permanent fence between the dog area and the fields. And that plan's got a lot of detail, so I recommend that plan. And then on the parking lot, recommend it as designed, but with a combination of concrete and asphalt, as you mentioned, the concrete on the drive areas, particularly high traffic areas. It's what you recommended, and I think that's a good plan. And my only alternative would be, if I were just deciding it myself, I'd do it all in concrete.
I would too. I just have visions of the asphalt turning into what the mess is over here, and
Yeah,
we're gonna be in the same boat.
if you're pouring some concrete anyway, I just do the whole thing in concrete.
I agree. I mean, I kinda hate to see us do that, but if our choices are asphalt and concrete, I'm choosing concrete all day.
What I'm really looking for is and I think what this group did and Park Commission has done is explored a lot of different stuff, got a lot of different facts. I think it's good having the history lesson here and doing all that. I think having discussion at council, I agree with Kevin, having a recommendation to focus on is helpful, but what we're really talking about is this a viable option to make this change? And does council want to do it? And then there's gonna be another round of working through the specific details. What really is gonna work with a finer tooth comb, and that's with the project manager and all of that. So I think I would do this very differently from the beginning, and as my role in this, and being more detailed with instructions that you don't have to figure out every detail. And I do think we spent a lot of time talking. I mean, it's good stuff, it's good information, we're gonna have to get through it, but just wanna remind people, this is just, conceptually, can we do this? And then it's up to council to decide, do we wanna move forward and take things in consider that we heard, I said at the beginning, 0.4, 0.6, there were other things we need to figure out for that size, need to be figured out, because there are other users of the park, and we need to make sure they're able to use the park in the ways that are viable and make sense. But I don't know, hopefully that will be helpful for the park commission to consider, because you don't have to have the perfect answer at this phase.
I'm ready to sit. I like playing the way that I thought you did a great job presenting the history, why we got to where we got. We saw the context for everybody who could pop in or out of those, who have popped in or out of the discussion. Now there's some continuity to it and why we got to where we got. So I'm good with it.
Duke. You're not on any of the voting boards, but you carry a lot of weight. So we all want to know what you think.
Okay, Duke Garwood, 5 Rockaway Cove. I know Kurt did a good job of explaining it because I was totally exhausted when he was finished. Whew, man, 9 months. I like the plan because it's been through the process, it's been vetted, here we are. That's all I got to say. Process works. On the pavement, you know, don't think that asphalt's a terrible issue. It's all about the installation, and if we have ponding or bird bass for a couple of months, that gets fixed under warranty. You know, that shouldn't, I mean, again, I'd rather see concrete overall versus asphalt, but asphalt's not a terrible material and not a terrible solution by any means. And I agree with, let's put our money in the amenities of the dog park. And I was wondering why Kurt referred to it as dog park, and I'm sure he's thinking it, maybe it's not D-O-G, it's D-A-W-G, you know, dogs, you know. But,
Are you a University of Georgia graduate or something?
no, dogs would be referring to some lesser things. But, and I mean, again, you know, Rob said that we have to use a certain gravel. It's gonna be just as hot because it's all black and it all absorbs. I mean, again, to me, if we did the True Grid, that's like, okay, we wanna go out as a community and demonstrate and display that we're environmental, that we're doing something really well and exceptional. And that's a great thing to do. To me, it's going to come off like, oh God, it's kind of like one off over there in the corner, and that's a mistake to me. What else would you like to know?
Can you come to the council meeting?
I would.
Good, would help.
When is that?
Wednesday. It's
This
this
Wednesday?
coming Wednesday, yeah.
Okay.
Got moved up a week for vacations and such.
Just plan on being here every day next week, because there's meetings every day.
So Diana, you're the only one we hadn't heard from, right? Or Brian, Diana, you got anything to say? All right.
Well, I was late only because I had a rainwater harvesting issue. Solved it.
Good. Well, just don't sandbag us, Diana. So if you got anything, if you're gonna throw any grenades at this, you let us know before you do.
I did a quick question. Lori, when you pointed at a park, the horrible asphalt parking lot, what were you pointing to?
I'm pointing to that north lot back there that we're about to take over.
Okay, not these two here.
No,
Oh,
those
okay.
are fine.
All right. I just am surprised at how well these two have actually
Yeah.
held
Yeah,
up
they look good.
over the years.
Those look good. I was talking about the one we're gonna rip up.
I wanted to make one more clarification because, you know, a lot of things in that plan, again, Kurt mentioned the raised berms, elevate the landscape. There's a lot of aesthetic issues there, but also, you know, that's like a filtration element.
Yep.
It's not just a drainage directed, but it's more of a filtration. And with the added 12%, we're filtering, you know, overland filtration is super increased. I mean, there's just a lot of little incremental benefits that are built into the, I'll say the concept plan that add up, and I mean, the drainage will be significantly better.
And I think that lower piece of land could also have similar earth berms, like spreader berms that work in between the trees. It wouldn't have to be anything besides, soil. Creating berms that could slow the water down, get it to infiltrate. So I think we could do a lot with that little piece of land, that, as far as the drainage.
Is that your next project for us?
You can't wait to sign on for another.
What else you got for me?
Yes.
More abuse.
And if you haven't looked, the Boy Scouts cleared that land out, all the debris out of back there. And
Oh, I haven't seen it.
it adds it's even better looking now.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Thanks for your time, everybody, and wish us luck. Monday has RCDC, Tuesday Parks Commission, and Wednesday City Council.
And if you guys can, send some endorsement to council out of RCDC, if you're ready to do that, of moving forward. Realize we're gonna have to come back to you when we get to the point of having cost estimates or bids, more likely bids. Because I think we got a general idea
Yeah.
that we're gonna be able to do all this within the available funds, so.
The discussion at our level is going to be that the RCDC has a double mandate. The park is part of it, and that's of course where my heart has been for 25 years or so that we've been here working on this. But we're also supposed to be doing things, and it's in our best interest to do things that make the merchants along BK Road successful. And we need to be putting some money into helping them produce the tax revenue that produces our budget. So we cannot just say, okay, you can empty our treasury entirely for the park commission, for the park project, as much as I'd love to see that done. And this is where Bobby and I are having conversations and have had conversations for a good long time about how much of our budget ought to be reserved for business development purposes.
That's not on the agenda today?
It is not. But it is responsive to what Kevin raised about what we can do. And what we can do is give you an indication that we're willing to spend a bunch
Right.
of our money for this
Sure.
purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that disagreement, but the question is gonna be how much are we gonna have to reserve?
Sure.
And then the parking, the maintenance issue there, Kevin, we can say that we can take on the maintenance from a legal standpoint, and I'm
Sure.
certainly willing to do it from a management standpoint. Bobby's,
I think we
Yeah,
can.
it's
I've
a statutory
researched it.
provision.
I've researched it again just a couple months ago, and it does
we'll
say in the
talk to the
statute.
lawyer
you
on
can.
Monday,
Yeah.
but yes. I'm
But-
confident there's
but
a
the only-
statutory provision that says if we fund the majority of, or a chunk of it, if it's our project, it can be our maintenance on an ongoing basis. But yes.
But the only amendment I'd offer your comments is that you don't have a mandate to do both things. You have the power to do both things, but are not required to do both things. So you can spend your money on one or the other if you want to. And if you say, as much as I'd love to spend it on the park, there's really nothing stopping you from spending on the park other than a policy choice to reserve some for economic development. And you guys know my position on how effective, spending money on economic development is.
Again, not on our
Topic
topic.
for
But
another day.
Yeah.
All right, so
Now
motion
for another
to,
meeting, come to Monday's
Yes,
meeting.
come to Monday's meeting.
Motion to
5:30
adjourn.
Monday, right here.
Motion to adjourn.
thank you, second.
All in favor?
All right, all in favor, say
Vote with
aye.
your
Aye.
feet.